Okay, so we've got a new Diablo game coming out soon. This is pretty much confirmed. Is it going to be an expansion or Diablo 4? Let's get into it, guys. Hey everyone, guess what? We've got a brand new job listing for an unannounced Diablo 3 project. Here's the kicker. It's a game director. So we've had around about 5 job listings from low priority to high priority in the last couple of months, but nothing like a game director. So if you're curious, the previous director was Jay Wilson, and currently it's Josh Mascara, who recently left in a tweet according to Polygon and PC Gamer. Now I'm going to go over some of the important details in the actual job listing. For example, they say that Blizzard Entertainment is seeking a game director with outstanding communication skills, proven experience in creative direction, long story short, shipping AAA games to lead the Diablo franchise into the future. Sorry, the Diablo series. But I'm going to go over some of the notes here, just the important things that I think really stand out. So number one is they're clearly looking for someone who's going to be able to lead the game into something a little bit more fresher and newer. They go on to say, be the vision holder for the franchise, setting creative goals for the team. In other words, be a leader, take Diablo into the future. Now, Diablo 3's got quite a lot of competition that will be coming out in the future as well, mainly from Korea, and those on my channel will be most familiar with Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal. Now, I want to talk about, a new expansion and Diablo 4. In case you don't know, Diablo 3 came out in 2012 in May. I remember that because it was around about my birthday. So what you need to know is the game was in development for 7 years. Now, I don't think it takes them 7 years to make a Diablo game. The reason why this is important is because it went through quite a lot of hiccups as well. Originally, it looked more like a Diablo 2 MMO. What changed was upper management, company structure, but also the technology dramatically changed around that time too, and that's why we see a more 3D, we see a 3D game, not 2D texture sprite stuff. So what I think's most interesting about this is we were all expecting a Diablo 3 expansion last BlizzCon. And the reason why we did was because, number one, it was on schedule to come out around about a year beforehand on a very old leak. So obviously they fell behind this supposed leak schedule. And 1 year later, we thought, it's going to come out this BlizzCon, and it didn't happen. We also have to keep in mind that, yes, they are constantly supporting the game with seasons, and I believe they have a pretty stable player base that does spike every time a new season does get launched. But let's face it, Diablo 3 could definitely use some new content. I think the best evidence of this is seeing one after another, old school Diablo streamers no longer streaming the game, unfortunately. Now, to be super realistic, my guess around all of this stuff is that, if they're hiring a new game director now, they obviously want to work on a Diablo project for the future. They're not going to bring someone on, take on a already finished project and announce an expansion at this year's BlizzCon. And I honestly think that they will. So in my opinion, I believe that they've got an expansion ready to go now that they're working on. They will announce it at this year's BlizzCon. You also have to understand that when they have a game finished, that's not the end of the cycle, guys. They've still got to work out their marketing campaign, their distribution circuits, just localization. For example, in China, the game's a little bit different. Lots of logistical stuff when they do actually bring this game out. Just getting the actual CDs printed themselves. Communicating with PlayStation, waiting for them to get their marketing shit sorted out. All of this stuff that does get added on top. This is probably a pretty good time to have an expansion finished, to announce it and start the marketing wave at this year's BlizzCon. I don't think it's Diablo 4, but if they are hiring a new game director, this might be something that they're pushing towards into the future. Now, like I mentioned earlier, it took 7 years for Diablo 3 to come out. That's really unrealistic and not fair to say that it'll take another 7 years for another game. It really comes down to they want to take the direction of Diablo 3 into a brand new game. Is it viable to bring out a Diablo 4? Can we make at a minimum 5 new classes? Is there still a lot to explore with expansions? My honest opinion is yes. There's so much to explore with expansions. The idea of not seeing 2 more come out seems a little bit crazy to me, unless Blizzard can see something statistically, their stats are clearly plummeting and they need to cut their losses. I don't think that's the case. StarCraft is a really good example of this, where they're not just banging out new StarCraft games every 2 years. It is quite a slow process, like Diablo 3. Either way, guys, what will happen next is we will see a press release once a new game director has been assigned, but also settled in and set up plans and a direction for them to go for. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm curious to hear about what happened to Josh Mascara. Who knows? Either Either way, guys, it's pretty exciting stuff. They got some big challenges ahead of them with what's coming out in the future. Let's hope that we get some really cool Diablo stuff, because we're all definitely waiting for some new Diablo stuff. And, you know, maybe an expansion and one more character just might not cut it this time. Yeah. Catch you next time. See ya.